Bianca, my students are still talking.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed it. They enjoyed the presentation, and I think some of them are actually going to put in applications for the office. Yeah. She's like, yay. But no, she did a great job. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I'm good.
She's coming in tomorrow. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah.
All the jurors are present, Judge.
All right.
Thanks. They just worry about it, they don't worry about it.
State, do you already have your witness here?
Yes, Judge, he's walking down.
All right, if you all want to go ahead and she can be placed on the witness stand, or he can be placed on the witness stand.
That's.
Nicole, 2019 CR 12495 State versus Tamar McIntyre. Can I have parties announced for the record?
Yes, Jason Garahan and Megan Galloway for the state, Your Honor.
John Hunter, Jerry Goldstein, and Thomas Lane for Mr. McIntyre, Your Honor. I believe he's still back in holding.
Oh, he's back in holding. All right, we'll wait for him. Getting dressed. Okay.
Your Honor, we're trying to get to that time.
All right, no problem.
Well, he's wearing the one that was.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
That's all we got.
All right, and you're Mr. McIntyre? All right, so are both parties ready to proceed?
My co-counsel gets back.
Oh, no, I think they're bringing the witness, but you all are ready to proceed with
yes,
trial
yes, yes.
once. All right. So I'm being told that all of the jurors are here.
Great, thank you, Judge.
And Jenna, I'm going to start inputting this in the system. So once I finish, I'll just put them up here. All right, thank you. Oh, you need a seat? Yes. Is there an extra chair for the attorney?
That back room. Get one for the back room, Judge.
Oh, yes.
There's one here, I can grab one from my office.
All right, we can take that one, I think.
It's a rolling chair, Judge.
All right. Counsel, you're okay with the rolling chair?
Of course. I can grab one from the witness room.
Oh, here's one here.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you, Norma. Oh, we have one. Thank you.
All the chairs are here, just.
Just give me a moment. So just so everyone is aware, Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor.
When there are cases where I'm assuming, what is your name?
Joanna Reyes.
All right. So I usually let the jurors know that the person sitting next to them is their attorney. All right. All right. And both parties are ready to proceed?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Let's bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury.
All right. Everyone, please be seated. All right. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Joanna Reyes.
All right. Can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Joanna Reyes, Reyes.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Joanna, will you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Joanna Reyes. I am a hairstylist and I also work at a warehouse.
And how old are you currently?
27,
And what city do you currently live in?
San Antonio, Texas.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Is there any way we could raise the microphone's volume on the
right.
witness?
Just one moment. Can you make sure that you keep your voice up so members of the jury can hear, so that everyone can hear? And if you'll speak into the long microphone that's there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right, what city do you currently live in?
San Antonio, Texas,
And about how long have you lived in San Antonio?
since 2005.
Okay. Were you born, where were you born?
Libertyville, Illinois,
And about how old were you when you moved down to San Antonio?
10.
What side of town did you grow up on?
Marbach area, 410.
And did you attend high school here in San Antonio?
Yes, ma'am.
What high school is that?
John Paul Stevens High School.
Okay. And did you graduate from that high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you graduate from that high school or did you obtain your degree somewhere else?
I did homeschooling.
And is that how you were able to obtain your high school diploma?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why you're here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that?
For the case to get justice for Mark Anthony Salvador.
Have you taken responsibility for your actions on
Objection
the
leading.
day?
And let me hear the question and then I'll rule on your objection.
Have you taken responsibility for your actions on the day that Mark Saldivar died?
All right, the objection will be overruled.
You can answer the question.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you do that?
I pled guilty to tampering with evidence.
Okay. So you entered a plea agreement with the state of Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Now regarding that plea agreement, originally you were charged with capital murder, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you worked out a deal where you ultimately pled to the offense of tampering with evidence, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And for tampering with evidence, the range of punishment is 2 to 10 years in the prison or community supervision.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to leading. all these
Sustained.
questions. And I ask the jury to disregard the question and the answer, and if the court would entertain it, all the questions and answers between my first objection and now.
No, I will not entertain objections that I've already ruled on. Ladies and gentlemen, the last question and the last answer, you are to disregard. Does everyone understand? All right, state, you may continue.
So I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit number 117. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And does this document contain your name? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does this document also contain your signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on this document, is it a fair copy or true copy of your plea agreement that you entered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can use this to refresh your memory if you need to, just don't read from it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, given that it's a certified copy of the judicial document, the defense would move to admit that exhibit.
Well, if you want to admit that exhibit, you need to do it during your cross-examination of the witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Well, Judge, since they're not gonna object at this time, the state offers state's exhibit number 117.
Any
No
objection?
objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 117 is admitted without objection.
May I have permission to publish, Your Honor?
Granted. And I'm sorry, I don't know if the screen is working or not. Oh, thank you.
All right. So, Ms. Reyes, I think where we left off was what was the range of punishment for the offense of tampering with evidence? Are you able to see the document up there on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know what the range of punishment is for that offense?
Yes, 2 to 10 years, possible fine up to $10,000 if the offense occurred on or after September 1st.
And do you know what, well, I guess. And as part of your agreement, what was the punishment that was agreed upon that you were to be sentenced to?
Tampering with evidence, intent to impair.
Okay. And just regarding line 3, do you know what the state's recommendation for your punishment would be?
Yes, ma'am. 10 years deferred adjudication on the offense of tampering with evidence.
And then regarding line 4, what did the state ultimately do with the pending capital murder charge?
The state will dismiss the pending capital murder charge against your client at the time of.
And did you have other cases pending at the time that were dismissed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this plea agreement was made to you in exchange for what?
Truthful testimony.
And so have you been on bond, or let me step back a little bit. Do you know what day you entered this plea agreement with the state?
December 18th, 2018.
Okay. And have you been on bond in your case since that date?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what the conditions of your bond are?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
No contact with any of the defendants or the family in Market Salvador.
Now I want to talk to you about the month of April 2017. Do you recall who you were hanging out with during that month?
Yes, ma'am. Tamor, Jalen, Isaac, Jeremiah, Desiree,
Tamor, what is his last name?
McIntyre,
And what is Jalen's last name?
Bell,
Do you know Isaac's last name?
Ibarra,
And do you know Jeremiah's last
Rodriguez.
name? Okay. Now specifically regarding Tamor McIntyre and Jalen Bell, do you recall where you met them?
At a gathering at Isaac's house.
Okay. Had you met him before that day?
No.
You had never met him before that day?
You said Jeremiah?
No, sorry, let me clarify. No, it's okay. So regarding Tamor McIntyre, you previously stated you met him at a gathering at Isaac's, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, had you met Tamor McIntyre before that?
yes.
Okay, do you know about how far ahead?
I'm not too sure on the timeline, but I believe it was a year or a year and a half prior.
Okay. And how old were you in 2017?
18.
Did you know how old Tamor McIntyre was at that time?
No, he just said that he was 18.
Were you in a relationship with Tamor McIntyre?
So he says,
And how would you refer to you as?
his girlfriend.
And were you, during this time period, were you all staying together for living
Yes.
purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
Where would you guys sleep?
Multiple people's houses.
Okay, can you name some of the people, houses that you would stay at?
But it was Isaac, we stayed at Jeremiah's. He had a friend in Colleen.
Objection relevant.
Relevance?
Well, Judge, it's laying the predicate for testimony to come, but I'll move on.
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Yes. All right, State, you may continue.
Thank you. Now, regarding Jeremiah Rodriguez, how did you know Jeremiah?
We had went to the same school, Stevens.
Okay. And so, for about how long did you know him before May of 2017?
Not too long, maybe a couple years. I knew of him, I never really hung out with him.
Okay. And in April of 2017, did Jeremiah Rodriguez have a girlfriend?
Yes,
Do you know what her name was?
Desiree.
Okay. During this time in April of 2017, what were you doing for work?
I was a entertainer.
And when you say entertainer, can you kind of further explain?
I did work at the strip club from ages of 18 until probably 23.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about Mark Saldivar. Did you know him?
No, I just knew him on Instagram.
Okay. Based on your knowledge of him on Instagram, do you know what his hobby was or what he liked to do?
Photography.
Okay. At some point in April 2017, did you come into contact with Mark Saldivar?
Yes,
Do you recall how you did that?
through Messenger.
Okay, is that on Instagram?
Yes, ma'am.
For what purpose did you come into communication?
Tamor wanted to make an album cover for his new song.
Okay. And so specifically, why did you reach out to Mark Saldivar?
For that photo shoot.
Okay. You said new song. What was Tamor's name that he would release songs under?
TK 47 or TK.
Okay. And regarding Jalen Bell, did he have any nicknames that he would go by?
Pimpies or yeah.
Okay. Now why was Mark Saldivar picked as the person to do the photo shoot?
Because he was offering to do it at low cost or no cost at all.
Okay. And were you supposed to be part of this photo shoot?
Yes,
Do you know what the plans regarding you were for the photo shoot? What were you supposed to be doing?
I was supposed to be in lingerie and with props of guns and marijuana and with a mask also.
Okay. And making the plans for the photo shoot, who was communicating with Mark?
It was me and Tamar.
Okay, and when Tamor was communicating with him, whose phone was he using?
Mine.
Okay. So at some point, did Mark Saldivar agree to be the photographer for this photo shoot?
Yes, he did.
And so on April 23rd of 2017, do you recall where you started the day off?
At Jeremiah's.
Is that Jeremiah Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What kind of car did you have at that time?
A black Kia Forte.
Okay. Who was that car registered to at the time?
My father.
But who was the one that was driving it?
I was driving.
All right. Do you recall how your hair was on that day?
I was wearing a blonde wig.
And what did you have planned to do that day?
Just a photo shoot.
And who were you with for the photo shoot?
TK and Jalen and Jeremiah.
All right. Did you guys go anywhere altogether?
Yes,
Where?
to Mark's house.
And what vehicle did you all use to go to Mark's house?
My vehicle.
Okay, and who was the driver? Or when you guys got into your vehicle at Jeremiah's house, who was in the driver's seat?
I was.
And who was in the front passenger seat?
Tamar.
Who was sitting in the back directly behind you?
Jeremiah.
And who was sitting in the back directly behind Tamar?
Jalen.
Do you recall what color shirt Tamar was wearing?
White.
And just, can you explain Tamar McIntyre's appearance? As far as his skin color, how would you describe him? Do you know what his race is?
Yes.
What is that?
African American.
Would you describe him as a light or dark-skinned African American?
Dark skin.
Okay. And regarding his height, is he tall or short?
At the time, he was my height.
And was regarding his build, was he skinny or chunky?
Skinny.
Now, regarding Jalen's appearance, or do you know Jalen's race?
No.
Regarding his skin color, how would you describe his skin color?
Light complected.
Okay. And regarding his height, is he tall or short?
Tall.
And was he skinny or chunky?
Chunky.
And regarding Jeremiah, do you know what his race is?
Hispanic.
Okay, and was he short or tall?
Tall.
And skinny or chunky?
Skinny.
And did he have short or longer hair?
Longer.
Now, you stated previously that you all went to go pick Mark Saldivar up. Do you recall where you all picked him up at?
His house.
Did you pick him up directly in front of his house or down the street from his house?
Possibly diagonal.
Okay, so not directly in front of his house.
No, no.
Okay. Do you know if Mark Saldivar had anything with him when he got into your vehicle?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
You can answer the questions.
He had a bag with him.
Okay. Do you know what was in the bag?
No.
Okay. Did he have anything else with him?
His camera.
Okay.
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Do you know what kind of camera it was?
It was a white Canon.
Now, once Mark Saldivar entered your motor vehicle, who was sitting in the driver's seat at that time?
I was.
Who was sitting in the front passenger seat at that time?
Tamar.
Who was sitting directly behind you at that time?
Jeremiah.
And who was sitting in the middle of the back seat?
Jalen.
And who was sitting directly behind Tamar?
Mark.
Mark was sitting directly behind Tamar?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so after you picked up Mark Saldivar, where did you guys go?
He asked us if we could reschedule for the day and if we could give him a ride to North Star. So I agreed and I said, okay, that's fine.
Okay. And so you were still gonna give him a ride to North Star Mall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, on the way to North Star Mall, what happened?
We hit the light at McCullough. And Tamar took out his gun and pointed it at Mark. And asked for his bag. Mark refused to give him the bag. So they all started hitting him. And Tamar was hitting him with the gun. And the whole time I didn't look back, but when I did, I saw his face. And I started telling them to let him go. And I just kept screaming, let him go.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
And Jalen opened the door and started pushing him out. And he was fighting to get back in the car. And then I didn't let him in the car. So he went around the car and he jumped on the hood. And the light turned green.
I'm gonna stop you right there, okay? So, when you all were at the light on McCullough, you said Tamar produced his gun, correct?
Yes,
And who did Tamar have the gun pointed at?
Mark.
And what was Tamar saying when he had the gun pointed at Mark?
To give him his bag.
And so, once the light turned green, what happened?
He pointed the gun at me and told me to start driving. So I started driving. I didn't know where to go. So I turned into the first place that I saw, which was the Chick-fil-A. Once I turned into the Chick-fil-A, he kept yelling at me to get him off the car. I didn't know how to, so I was just going back and forth really quickly. And Mark kicked the windshield and taking opened the door and shot him.
Okay.
He just
All right. So when you were in the Chick-fil-A parking lot, and Mark was on the hood of the vehicle, who was sitting in the front passenger seat of the vehicle at that time?
Tamar.
What did you observe Tamar Mcintyre do from the front passenger seat?
He shot him.
How did Tamar, did he exit the vehicle or did he roll the window down? How did he shoot?
Yeah, he opened the door and leaned out on one leg.
Now, do you see the person that shot Mark Anthony Saldivar in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you please point to him and identify him by an article of clothing he's wearing?
Wearing a white shirt.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant, Tamar Mcintyre. Now, I need to back up a little bit and I apologize. When you all were at, where did Mark's backpack end up?
And Jalen had it.
Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit back to the stoplight on McCullough, okay? Did Tamar ever gain Mark's backpack at any point?
Yes.
Okay, and when was that?
And when they were fighting him.
Okay. And regarding where was the backpack once you all were in Chick-fil-A? Do you know where it was or you didn't see it at that time?
I didn't see it.
Okay. Now, when you all were at that stoplight at McCullough and 410, prior to that, did you have any knowledge of Taymor's intentions to take Mark's belongings at gunpoint?
No, ma'am,
Okay, but then what did you observe occur?
he was robbing him,
And that's at the stoplight.
yes.
When you all, well, I'm gonna publish State's Exhibit. State's Exhibit number 63. Now, is that a fair and accurate representation of the events as they occurred on the offense date?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to approach the witness. Your Honor.
Granted.
Let me show you what has been marked. State's exhibits numbers 119 and state's exhibits number 120. Have you seen these before?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize the items that are contained within state's exhibits 119 and 120?
Yes, ma'am.
And are they fair and accurate depiction of the items as they were on offense date?
Yes, ma'am.
Enter into the fence for inspection and offering states 119 and 20.
Objection 403 and renewing our previous objection 702 and 3914 to the state's presentation of what is it, 64, the video.
States Exhibit 119 and 120 is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
Now regarding exhibit number 119, are you able to see that up there, Ms. Reyes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and can you please explain to the jury what I'm pointing at right here?
That's me.
And is that your motor vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And what seat are you seated in?
The driver's seat.
And regarding states 120. We approach. Regarding states exhibit number 120, can you explain to me what's going on with the back passenger window right there?
Jeremiah has it rolled down.
Now, after the defendant shot Mark Saldivar in the Chick-fil-A parking lot, where did you go? What happened?
He wanted me to keep driving. He didn't want the cops to get there. So he had directed me through the window to drive. And I went down the access road and took the first left and stopped at a Mexican restaurant.
I'm gonna back up a little bit before we get to the Mexican restaurant. Was Mark Saldivar ever shot inside of your black Kia Forte?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you see Mark Saldivar with a weapon on him?
No, ma'am.
To your knowledge, did anyone else in the vehicle have a firearm?
Jalen.
But who is the only person that you saw with a firearm in the motor vehicle?
Timor.
And so when you get to the Mexican restaurant, what happens?
I parked the vehicle. And then they started getting out of the vehicle, and then I got out of the vehicle. And they were going through the backpack, and then also going through his wallet, throwing things out.
I wanna back up a little bit. Do you recall who got out of the vehicle first?
Timor, or no, Jeremiah.
Okay, and then after Jeremiah got out of the, do you know where Jeremiah went once he got out of your vehicle?
No,
Okay. Did he ever come back and meet with you there at the Mexican restaurant?
no,
Okay. And then who got out of the vehicle after Jeremiah then?
Timor.
Okay. So you said, do you know where Mark Saldivar's backpack was at this time?
Jalen had it.
Okay. And regarding Mark Saldivar's belongings, who did you observe with Mark Saldivar's wallet?
Jalen.
Okay, do you know if there was anything inside of the wallet?
Yeah, I got upset because there was only $10.
When you say he got upset, who are you referring to here?
Jalen.
Can you please describe to the jury the demeanor of Tamor McIntyre and Jalen Bell at the Mexican restaurant once you all got off of the vehicle?
They were kind of going back and forth, and then Jalen applauded him and gave him a high five. And fived each other, and Jalen said, "You caught your first body."
Can you describe to the jury how you were feeling when you all were at the Mexican restaurant?
Shock.
Did you ever see what was inside Mark Saldivar's backpack?
No,
Did the defendant, Tamor McIntyre, ever make a statement to you about what was contained within the backpack?
yes.
What was that?
He said there was a roll of condoms, a bottle of lube, and a whole other outfit.
Did the defendant ever make any statements about Mark Saldivar's cell phone? Or did anyone make a statement about Mark Saldivar's cell phone?
Jalen,
You know what he did with the cell phone?
he said he tossed it.
Objection, hearsay, confrontation.
Judge, it's a party opponent, a statement by co-conspirator and further.
Mr. Bell is not a party opponent.
The objection will be sustained.
To instruct the jury to disregard the question and whatever part of the answer got out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll disregard that last question and last answer.
And motion for mistrial.
Denied.
All right, Ms. Reyes, now I'm gonna show you some photographs. Starting with State's Exhibit number 88. Do you recognize what that is? What
My
is
car.
starting or continuing with State's Exhibit number 89? Is there anything significant contained within this exhibit?
The picture, me and Taylor.
All right, so this item that I'm pointing at, what is that?
A picture of Taylor and me.
Okay. And showing State's Exhibit number 93. Do you recognize what that is?
My toothbrush.
State's Exhibit number 94. This item that I'm pointing at, who did that belong to?
Taylor.
And this item that I'm pointing at, who did that belong to?
Taylor.
State's Exhibit number 95, the item that I'm pointing to, who did that belong to?
Taylor.
State's Exhibit number 99. Do you know this item that I'm pointing at? Do you know who it belonged to?
It's either Jalen's or Taylor's.
And regarding State's Exhibit number 102, the item that I'm pointing at, do you recall who that belonged to?
Either Jalen or Taylor.
Um, and regarding State's Exhibit number 115, do you know who that belonged to?
Taylor.
Now after you all, well, I'm gonna publish State's Exhibit number 63. On State's Exhibit number 63, can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know who that is?
Jeremiah.
On State's Exhibit number 63 as displayed where my mouse is toggling, do you know who that is?
Taylor.
Again, where my mouse is toggling on State's Exhibit number 63, 63, do you recognize who that is? And on state exhibit number 63 is where my mouse is toggling. Do you recognize who that is? I'm going to show you what has been marked as case exhibits number 121 through 127. Inclusive. Have you seen these before?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize the items that are contained within the case exhibits?
Yes, ma'am.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of the items as they were? Actually, offering states 121 through 127 inclusive.
We approach briefly, Ross.
Yes.
Right, Ms. Reyes, if you could take a look at states exhibits 121, do you recognize this item that I'm pointing to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is this area?
The trunk of my car.
Okay, and the items that are contained within states exhibit number 121 are these items that were left in your motor vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize them to be in the same condition as they were when they were left in the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
State offers 121 through 127 inclusive.
All right.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, objections are noted. They'll be overruled. States exhibits 121 and 127 are admitted.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
Did you say and 127?
No, 121 through 127.
Now, Mr. Reyes, regarding state's exhibits number 121, you just explained, but can you explain to the jury what's depicted in this state's exhibit?
My car.
In state's exhibit number 122, do you recognize what is contained in the state's exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
Taylor's jersey.
In state's exhibit 123, do you recognize the item contained therein?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this item that I'm pointing at, what is that and who did it belong to?
Taylor's pajama.
And regarding the item that I'm pointing to in state's exhibits 123, do you recognize it?
Taylor and Jailer share the shirt.
Regarding state's exhibits number 124, the item that I'm pointing at, do you recognize it and who did it belong to?
Taylor.
State's exhibit 125, do you recognize that?
It's mine.
State's exhibit 126, do you recognize that?
Yes, that's mine.
And state's exhibit number 127.
Taylor's.
Now, after you all are at the Mexican restaurant, did you all go somewhere after that?
Yes.
Where did you all go?
And there is a Starbucks right next door. And we went there while Taylor was on my phone and he got a ride.
And where did you get a ride to, if you recall?
Jeremiah's house.
And when you all left the motor vehicle there at the Mexican restaurant, did you have any intention of returning back to the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
And you said that you all were going to Jeremiah's house, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that Jeremiah Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you all go to Jeremiah Rodriguez's house?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Jalen and Jeremiah stay, or did Jalen and Tamor stay there at Jeremiah's house?
Yes.
Okay. Where did Jalen and Tamor go from Jeremiah's house?
They got a lift.
Just one moment. When an objection is made, don't speak because I'll need to rule on it, the objection. All right, ask your question and then you can make your objections and the court will make a ruling.
Do you know if Tamor and Jalen went anywhere after being at Jeremiah's house?
Objection hearsay.
That'll be overruled.
You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just so the jury's aware, were you there at Jeremiah's house after you all left the Mexican restaurant? Who all was there at Jeremiah's house?
It was me, Jeremiah, his family, his mom, Tamor, and Jalen.
Okay. And so while you all are there at Jeremiah Rodriguez's home, where did Tamor and Jalen go from there?
They said they were getting a lift to Austin.
Objected hearsay again.
All right, and who, I'm sorry. With regards to hearsay, if that's something someone else said, then the objection will be sustained.
Motion to instruct the jury to disregard the answer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're instructed to disregard the answer
Motion for mistrial.
tonight.
All right. Did you observe Tamor and Jalen leave Jeremiah Rodriguez's residence?
Yes,
And did they have any of Mark's belongings when they left?
yes.
Do you recall what belongings and Mark's they still had?
The backpack and the camera.
Did you stay the night at Jeremiah's house or where did you go after being at Jeremiah's?
No, I begged someone to take me home, which was his dad.
And did you have somewhere to be that next morning?
Yes.
Where was that?
Court.
Did you go to court the next morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the day after the offense, you were in a court with bailiffs Did you speak out then?
No, I was too scared.
And after court, where did you go?
To Dallas.
When you arrived in Dallas, who were you staying with?
Kayla Taylor's sister,
Do you know her last name?
Beverly.
Do you recall what apartments you were, or what type of location you were staying at with Kayla?
There were apartments.
Okay, and do you recall what they were called?
No, but I remember the address,
Okay, and what is that?
2424 Henderson Drive.
Okay. Is there anything significant about the location that sticks out to you?
In the area across the street, there was a plaza, which I remember there was a Kroger at and a beauty supply. And then next to it on the left side, there was a gas station.
Okay. Did the apartment that you were staying at, did it have a balcony?
Yes, ma'am.
And is there anything significant about the door on the balcony?
Yes, the color of it.
Do you remember what color it was?
It was like a red orange.
Now shortly thereafter, after the offense occurred, did you learn information that a detective with the San Antonio Police Department was trying to get into contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do when you learned this?
His sister Kayla told me to lie to the detective and say that the car was stolen.
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor. confrontation.
Sustained.
Move to instruct the jury to disregard the question and the answer.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are to disregard the question and answer.
And motion for mistrial.
Denied.
Okay, so without repeating what anyone told you, did you speak with the detective over the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell the detective anything about your motor vehicle?
Yes, that it was
Objection,
stolen.
hearsay.
Overruled.
You reported to the detective that it was stolen,
Yes, ma'am.
but that was not true, was it?
No, it was not,
Okay. Why did you tell the detective that?
because I was told to do so.
Objection, hearsay.
Untimely.
Now,
Objection overruled, Your Honor.
Yes.
when you first spoke with the detective and told him that the car was stolen, did you make an appointment to speak with him in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever show up to that appointment?
No,
Why not?
because the day before, they made me work at the club at Temptations. And that night, when I fell asleep, they stole everything out of my bag, my money, my ID, my social, everything.
And did you ever talk to the detective again?
Yes,
Did you tell the truth at that time?
no,
Why not?
I was scared
Why were you scared?
because I thought I was gonna get hurt.
Why did you think you were gonna get hurt?
Objection calls for hearsay.
All right. You're allowed to, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to say what anyone else told you. There are certain exceptions to hearsay. I don't know if this would fall under one.
Why were you scared that you were gonna get hurt?
Because anytime I didn't listen to Kayla, she would call Taylor up.
I'm sorry. The objection to hearsay will be sustained.
Your Honor, I'd ask the jury to disregard the answer.
Ladies and gentlemen, you disregard the answer.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
Whenever you're stating that you were in fear, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What, did you observe anything that placed you in fear?
Yes, he killed somebody.
And did the defendant ever make any statements to you about your family personally, and
Yes,
what were those statements?
that he would kill me and my family.
And is that why you were also in fear?
Yes,
Now, do you recall about how long you stayed in Dallas?
I'm not too sure on the time frame.
At some point, did you leave Dallas, Texas?
Yes,
Where did you go from Dallas, Texas?
Odessa.
And when you were in Odessa, were you away from the defendant and his sister?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you choose to speak out then?
I'm gonna
No.
object to, I'll withdraw.
Why not?
I'm still so scared.
And then ultimately, when you were in Odessa, were you arrested for a warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And once you were placed into custody, did you get a message to the detective that had reached out to you previously?
Yes.
And what were your intentions with the detective?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can,
To tell the truth.
okay. So did you want to speak with him? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you speak with him once you came back to Bear County, Texas?
Yes.
And at the time that you spoke with him, did you have a plea agreement in place?
No, I did not.
And did you know that when you were speaking with him, there was a risk that you could be in trouble and charged in the offense?
No.
And you still decided to speak with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I mean, the detective did warn you that anything that you say or said at the time could have
Objection,
been used.
hearsay, leading,
Sustained.
move to instruct the jury to disregard,
Disregard what?
and motion for mistrial.
What are you instructing the jury to disregard?
Her question, Your
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're instructed to disregard the question.
Honor. Now, motion for mistrial, I'm sorry.
Denied.
Did the defendant ever reach out to you to try to get you to say something specific to the detective?
Yes.
And what was that?
They wanted me to say it was doing self-defense.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay and relevance, we keep using the plural. And I don't know who's saying what. So I would object to hearsay and confrontation.
Well, Judge, my question specifically was, did the defendant, so it's a statement against interest.
The
Option is
answer was
overruled.
plural.
Chris, I'm showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit number 128 and State's Exhibit number 129. Regarding State's Exhibit number 128, have you seen this? And does it contain your name and signature on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And was this shown to you by the detective when you spoke with him in the Bear County Jail?
Yes.
And regarding states, and is it a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw back then?
Yes.
And regarding State's Exhibit 129, do you recognize what is contained within the photo?
Yes.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the people depicted in the photo?
Yes.
And then that's for inspection, then states offering 128 and 129.
As to 129, Your Honor, we would just object as to relevance. And number 403. As to 128, Your Honor, I'd like to briefly take the witness on voir dire before that.
Let me see the exhibits.
Now regarding states, 129, you recognize the people contained within the photo.
Yes, ma'am.
And the person that I'm pointing to, do you know who is that?
Caleb Beverly,
And who is that?
Taylor McIntyre.
And regarding Miss Beverly, is that the person that you previously testified that you're staying in Dallas with?
Yes.
And the state offers to exhibit 120.
All right, with regards to State's Exhibit number 129, defense's objections are overruled. State's Exhibit number 129 will be admitted. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a brief break. And I will have you all back here by 3 p.m. Remember my previous instructions, you're not allowed to discuss anything that you've heard in the courtroom. You're not allowed to do any investigation. You're not allowed to start deliberating with yourself or with each other. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
Good afternoon, Ms. Reyes. How are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Couple questions about State's Exhibit 128. 130 and 131?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've identified these photographs as one of Jalen Bell and one of Jeremiah Rodriguez, correct?
Correct.
And again, similar to what we talked about with 129,
128.
128, I'm sorry. These are the only photographs of that you were shown when you asked for each of their identities, right?
Correct.
You were not shown a lineup for either of these people.
No.
Okay. And to be fair, you know Jalen Bell, you know him from prior interactions, but you've had fewer interactions with Mr. Bell than you have with Mr. McIntyre. Fair to
The
say?
same amount.
Same amount? Okay. And then Mr. Rodriguez, you said you were acquainted with him in high school, but that you all didn't hang out a great deal.
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, my objections would again be these are suggestive, lineup photographs, and we would similarly object to hearsay and bolstering the way we did for.
All right, with regards to those two exhibits, and I'm sorry, what are the numbers?
130 and 131.
With regards to 130 and 131, the objection will be overruled. All right, Deputy, if you could have the jurors come in, please. Yes.
All right, for the jury?
All right, everyone, please be seated. State it's still your witness.
Grace, I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibits 130 and 131. Do you recognize these documents?
Yes, ma'am.
And regarding both of the documents, is this your name?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it your handwriting?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this a fair and accurate depiction of what was shown to you by a detective with the San Antonio Police Department back on September 5th of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Your Honor, the state offers State's Exhibits 128, 130, and 131.
And
Same
de-
objections, Your Honor.
All right, defense, your objections are noted. States Exhibit 128, 130, and 131 are admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
Ms. Reyes, regarding State's Exhibit 128, can you explain to the jury what this is?
Tamar McIntyre.
And is that appearance of Tamar McIntyre in State's Exhibit 128, how he looked back in 2017 when the offense occurred?
Yes.
Regarding State's Exhibit number 130, can you explain to the jury who that is?
Jalen Bell.
And regarding State's Exhibit 131, who is that?
Jeremiah Rodriguez.
Now, earlier in your testimony, you testified regarding fear that you were experiencing. Can you describe the relationship that you had with Timur and McIntyre to the jury?
And so.
Your Honor, I'm gonna object, relevance, and if we could approach the
Yes.
bench.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Right, so this is a hearing outside the presence of the jury. Um, The defense states that they believe that the answer is going to elicit 404B information. So first of all, state if this is going to be 404B, has the defense been given notice?
Well, Judge, I mean, they were given notice of it in the previous testimony that the transcript that was provided to them, that this testimony is contained therein.
Oh, please be seated.
And in her statement that she gave back in 2017.
They have not filed formal notice to answer the court's question. But I mean, certainly it's, I mean, this parts of it are discussed in just vague terms in the transcript.
All right, so let's do this. Let me hear your questions. Let me hear her answers, and then I'll hear objections.
All right. Ms. Reyes, without going into specific instances, can you just briefly describe the dynamic of the relationship that you had with Timur and McIntyre?
He was possessive and abusive.
And when you say possessive, can you explain how so?
Anytime I would enter a room, if there was other men in the room, he made me sit on his lap. I had to wear his clothing down to his underwear.
Yeah, when you say abusive, can you further explain that? Well, I'll just move on from that. That's it, Judge.
All right. Do you have any questions with
Um,
regards to that subject matter? And then I'll hear whatever objections you have.
Well, Your Honor, I mean, I guess that question and that answer would not actually be 404B because there's no elicitation of a specific instance of conduct. So it's just character evidence generally. But those traits of character are not relevant to the questions that the trier of fact have to answer, which is whether he intentionally and knowingly killed Mark Anthony Saldivar in furtherance of a burglary or of a robbery. And so I don't think that it's proper character evidence. I don't think that the predicate has been laid. I don't think it's relevant. And so I would like the court to exclude it on that basis. If the court disagrees, then I would like to engage in some questioning to try and determine whether or not, I mean, because the problem with the way that this is set up is the prosecutor is just asking generally, Mr. McIntyre a possessive bad boyfriend? Is he aggressive with you? Does he put you in fear of your life because of the way that he acts around you when you see other men? And the only way for us to cross-examine or impeach that line of discussion is to go into specific instances of conduct. And so it's almost a bait and switch the way that that's being proposed, which is why, I mean, I really do believe that's just not admissible character evidence. It's not an appurtenant trait of character for the offense. And there's been no foundation as to why it's relevant. I mean, the
All right, so
witnesses,
well, let's start with this first. Why is it relevant?
Judge, well, it goes to her credibility, and that was attacked by them in their opening statement. And so the reason that the state is offering it is to prove, well, not to prove her credibility, but to lend credence to her credibility and rebut their opening statement regarding their attack on her credibility.
that's just 404A1, prohibited use. I mean, that's explicitly what the rule is designed not to allow them to do.
Well, Judge, they argued in their opening that she was being paid off for this, and so I think this line of questioning and testimony goes to something that they're about to attack on their cross-examination as to why she didn't speak out in the months between the offense and when she gave her statement in September.
I don't think anything in our opening automatically would authorize them to violate 404A1.
Time out.
And-
So this is what the court is going to do. With regards to this line of testimony, for the moment, the court is going to sustain the defense's objection. And if the door is open to something else, then the court will hear it. So,
Thank you, Judge.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring the jury in.
Well, I guess, Your Honor, just to avoid a three-peat of this, are there any other similar subject matters that the state intends to get into so we could just knock those out and not have to bring the jury back in and send it back in?
About this particular witness or the next 12?
This particular one.
Well, I'm moving on from the subject matter.
Okay, so there we go. He's wearing Florida Gator. You know, well, I want to know, are these fair weather fans or?
Alias is at the Alamodome.
Oh, well, you know, Cornelius sent me a photo. He's holding a baby gator. So,
He's going, right?
oh, he was at the game.
Okay, but is he going tonight?
Oh, I think so.
Got
Let me just,
Thomas is.
If I can.
if you all can approach. Just 1 second, Deputy Law.
Come on, come on. Cool.
So you see.
He comes back with missing a finger, I'm gonna laugh.
Oh, I am too. It's like, and you know what? It wasn't even necessary for him to miss a finger, but he may.
You always have to carry a clock with you too, if you lose a finger.
Oh, there you are. I remember that. All right, if you could bring the jurors in.
All right for the jury?
All right, everyone, please be seated and state it's still your witness.
As I'm showing you what has been marked as state's exhibit number 118. I'm gonna take it out of its envelope. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it? Well, have you listened to the contents of this disc?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and regarding the defendant, were you familiar with him back in 2017?
Right.
And have you spoken with him on multiple occasions?
Yes,
Would that include in person and on the phone?
yes,
And when you listened to the contents of State's Exhibit number 118, did you recognize the voice that was making the call on State's Exhibit number 118?
yes,
And whose voice was that?
Tamar's.
And we have the witness now.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Ms. Reyes. So let's start off with your plea deal in this case. You pled to tampering with evidence, correct?
Correct.
That's a third-degree felony.
Yes, sir.
What is it that they said you tampered with?
The car.
The car?
Yes,
Okay. And in exchange for that, you got the capital murder charge pending against you dismissed, right?
correct.
And you were allowed to remain out on bail this whole time, this past 7.5 years, right?
Correct.
And the agreement is that if you satisfy the terms of your deal, then you'll get what's called deferred adjudication, right?
Correct.
And you understand deferred adjudication means that you would not be finally convicted of that felony offense, tampering with evidence, right?
Correct.
Which means that if you successfully complete your deferred adjudication, you can petition a court to non-disclose the record, right?
Correct.
Meaning that other than police and perhaps the judge, the members of the general public that might want to employ you or give you an apartment or anything else would not necessarily know that you were ever convicted or never admitted guilt to defer tampering with evidence, right?
Correct.
And the condition for you getting this deal was that you would testify truthfully against Mr. Mcintyre, correct?
Correct.
And you understand when they say testify truthfully, that the person who decides whether you're being truthful is the district attorney's office, right?
Correct.
So if they think that you're not telling the truth, then they would be able to tell the judge that, and it could impact your case in a negative way. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And you also understand that if you are placed on deferred adjudication, you're eligible for what's called early termination of that deferred adjudication, right?
Correct.
And early termination can be applied for the day that you are placed on deferred. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
So it means that if you testify to the prosecutor's satisfaction in this case, and you are sentenced to deferred adjudication, as you said in your agreement, you could apply for early termination that day. You understand that?
I'm gonna object as to relevance. It's a misstatement. He needs to read the agreement because that's not what it's contained in therein.
Your Honor, it's plainly part and contemplated of what a deferred adjudication is, and she knows what early termination.
But is it a part of the agreement? That's the state is saying that it's not a part of the agreement.
Does the agreement say that there's no opposition to it? You have 170. 160. Okay, so let's call your attention. Is the Elmo working?
It's ready. It's ready.
Yes, please. 9 and 10. 9 and 10? Yes. All right. So on paragraph 9, it says the state will agree that at any time served on bond while awaiting sentencing without violation of bond conditions will count towards the deferred recommendation time, and the state will adjust the recommended time for deferred accordingly. For example, if your client, or you in this case, spends 2 years on bond from this date without violating the conditions, the state will recommend 8 years of deferred instead of 10 years at the time of sentencing. You read that part?
Correct.
And how long have you been on bond for this case?
Almost 8 years this month.
Almost 8 years this month. So the result of that is that if you have satisfied the state's expectation that you testify truthfully, at the conclusion of this, I guess you'll have to spend another year on deferred adjudication before you would be eligible to request that you receive early termination. You understand that?
Correct.
I'm gonna object to speculation and relevance.
Well,
All right, with
number,
regards
paragraph
to,
10.
with regards to speculation,
Well, Your Honor, I'm just asking her what her understanding of her own plea agreement is, which goes to her bias and motivation, which is an admissible question.
all
and
right,
it's
could parties
been admitted.
approach? All right, defense, you may proceed.
All right, Ms. Reyes. So to go back to paragraphs 9 and 10 of your agreement, you understand you've been on bond for 8 years, right?
Correct.
And you understand that under this agreement, so long as you're testifying to the prosecutor's satisfaction, they're promising to give you a discount on the total 10-year period of deferred for each year you served on bond in their recommendation to the court for punishment, right?
For the truth, correct.
And that you must spend half of the total time on your deferred before you can apply for early termination, right?
Correct.
And that would only be a year, given that you've already spent 8 years on bond, assuming that the prosecutor does recommend that reduction and assuming the court accepts it, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you understand that there is no statute of limitations for capital murder, right?
Correct.
And so if you testified in a way that was not to the prosecutor's satisfaction, you understand that you could still be prosecuted for this capital murder offense, correct?
Correct.
And you understand that 10 years is the maximum for the third-degree felony, correct?
Correct.
But it would be life in prison without the possibility of parole for you if you were to be charged with this capital murder offense, right?
Correct.
Now, when you first met with Detective Juarez, it was in September of 2017, is that right?
Correct.
So about what, is that, I'm not good at math, like what, 6 months or so after the offense?
Correct.
Okay. And during that time period, you said that you went to Dallas, you were in Ector County, which is Odessa for a little bit. That's where you got arrested.
Correct.
So you said that you met Tamor about a year and a half prior to this offense,
Correct.
and he was 15 years old at that time, wasn't he?
I didn't know his age at that time.
Well, I'm asking if you know that now.
Yes, no, I do.
He was 15 when you first met him,
Correct.
and he was 16 years old on the 23rd of April in 2017, right?
He lied at that time and said he was 18.
But you understand he was 16 years old, right?
No, I do, yes.
Okay. You met him at a gathering through Isaac, which was your boyfriend at the time,
Correct.
but then you started dating Tamor in the 2017 timeframe, correct?
Correct.
And you said that you were acquainted with Jeremiah Rodriguez because you went to high school with him.
Correct,
So you knew that Jeremiah Rodriguez was a drug dealer, right?
correct,
And you knew that he often carried weapons, correct?
correct,
You said at the time period you were dancing at a strip club,
correct,
and the weekend of this incident, I believe, coincided with the Stoner's Holiday 420. Is that right? April 20th,
Objection, relevance, and.
Relevance.
personal-
if you know.
Relevance.
Well, I'm trying, well, the relevance is, I believe, what they were doing at that party as it relates to what happened later, and it relates to,
All right, you'll need to lay the
Time frame.
foundation with regards to time.
was there a party the weekend of this incident that you attended with Mr. McIntyre and others?
that weekend, no,
Okay. But you and Mr. McIntyre and Mr. Bell were all hanging out.
we were together, yes,
Was Jeremiah with you?
yes,
But you weren't staying at Jeremiah's house that night before this incident, were you?
yes, we were,
Okay, are you sure of that?
very sure,
Okay. But if Jeremiah disagrees with you, Jeremiah is not telling the truth?
correct.
Okay. And you all took drugs that night before, didn't you?
I didn't, they did,
Okay, well, you say you didn't. Let's be more specific. They took LSD, didn't they?
yes,
And you didn't take LSD.
no,
You smoked marijuana though, didn't you?
I was completely sober,
You didn't smoke marijuana or do cocaine?
no, not the day before,
Are you sure?
yes,
But you had done them in recent time frame.
previously, yes,
Okay. And so Mr. McIntyre and Mr. Bell would have taken the LSD sometime in the evening hours of Saturday night before this event on Sunday, right?
correct,
Okay. And do you have any experience with taking LSD?
yes,
You're aware it's a very long lasting drug, right?
correct,
So it may not be that they were acutely intoxicated, but there would still be effects 24 hours later, you know?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
In your experience, you could still be having effects from it 24 hours after the fact, right?
yes, but it didn't seem like that,
Okay, I'm not asking you what it seemed like. I'm just asking what your experience with that drug is.
yes,
So that night before, there had been a conversation about a photo shoot. Part of that was to promote your career as a dancer, wasn't it?
no,
Okay. You say it was because Mr. McIntyre was wanting an album cover,
correct,
but you're aware that Mr. McIntyre has a producer and that he has people that do photo shoots for him and that all of those types of things?
Objection,
If you
relevance,
know,
and
All right.
speculation.
The state has objected to relevance.
well, it's relevant because I'm just asking her if she's aware. It goes to whether or not she understood the framing of this correctly.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
So you contacted Mark through Instagram, right?
correct,
And Mark had contacted you previously on a different Instagram account of yours, right?
correct,
And had asked if he could take photographs of you, right?
correct,
And the kinds of photographs Mark
Objection.
wanted to take to you, I'm sorry?
I'll let you finish the question.
The kinds of photographs Mark wanted to take of you were either nudes or risque photographs, wasn't it?
Judge, I'm gonna object, and if we could correct.
Yes. Defense, you may proceed.
Right. So what we were asking a moment ago, Mark had reached out to you on a prior occasion, and the discussion was about whether he could take nude photographs of you. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And when you looked at Mark's Instagram page, you saw that most of his photography work was of that variety, naked pictures.
yes,
And because of those things, you had blocked Mark previously, right?
yes,
And then you had activated a new Instagram account, and that's how Mark got a hold of you on this occasion, right?
I had that account for a while,
Okay, but he resurfaced as an Instagram correspondent
correct,
on a new account, right? And on this occasion, the discussion was displaying you in lingerie, correct?
yes,
And so those were the circumstances that were going on during the evening hours of Saturday leading up into Sunday. We're making arrangements to have this photo shoot where you would be in lingerie, correct?
correct,
All right. And you said, I believe on direct examination, that he had agreed to do this for little or no pay, right?
correct,
And so you all were thinking about doing the shoot somewhere near the North Star Mall?
correct,
Okay. And when you arrived, he walked out from his house and he got in the car and he saw that it was you, Jalen, Tamor, and Jeremiah, right?
correct.
And that wasn't something you had explicitly discussed with him before, was the fact that there'd be other men there, right?
He knew Tamar was gonna be,
You didn't know anybody else was going to be there, right?
and we said multiple people,
Okay, when did you tell anybody that?
when we text,
Let me
and we
back up.
communicated with him,
Let me back up a moment. You have given statements to the police in conjunction with this case, right?
correct,
And you have given statements under oath when you entered your plea of guilty to the plea agreement, right?
correct,
And you didn't tell anybody that you had explained to Mark that there would be a bunch of men present at the photo shoot, did you?
no,
So Mark gets in the car, and immediately, once y'all are rolling away, the photo shoot's called off, right?
he asked to reschedule for a later time that day,
Okay, that's calling off the photo shoot, isn't it?
it's rescheduling,
Okay, so y'all were still driving away with it, right?
correct, he asked for a ride to North Star,
And you told the detective that you were confident Mark's intention was to have sex with you that day, right?
no,
You don't remember telling the detective that?
no,
Would it refresh your recollection to look at your statement to the detective?
we can,
Which number are we on?
Number 9 or
Number 9. Reyes. Let me give you this transcript. I want you to kind of look it over. And if you have any questions that you would like to refresh your recollection from it, please let me know. I'll be asking you some questions from it too. We'll have copies.
Judge, I'm gonna object to that exhibit. It's not written.
I haven't offered it, and I'm just giving it to her because she said it might refresh her recollection, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
You just need to know what it is. I don't even know what it is.
I was just giving you a copy.
I'm objecting to lack of foundation. It's not for.
I'm giving you a copy of it so you can tell me what it is. What do you mean it's not understanding?
Yeah. I'm not offering.
Ms.
All
Ray,
right, so a party's approach.
Transcript, the defense is saying it's transcript of the witness's statement. State, have you had a chance to review that? Have you seen that before today?
No, Judge.
All right, so this is what the court wants the state to do, review that. And if someone can show her, defense, if you're saying this is a transcript of her actual video statement, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so if someone has her video statement, if you all will please show her her video statement. And defense, whatever you want to prompt, if it turns out it's for impeachment purposes, if you can do your time steps on her video to show that to her for any reason you believe it's impeachment evidence.
And
If
you
you
already may take those.
Specific to what this question and answer is about, I can call the witness's attention to the 50-minute and 39, or I'm sorry, the 50:39
All right, so
mark on the video.
here's the problem with that. If you all want to go to the video and specifically show her that portion, then if somebody will go to the video and show her that portion of the video.
I have that portion ready for the court, Your Honor, but I just wanted to, I mean, at this phase of it, all I have asked is if the witness recalls her previous statement, if it would help her remember to have a copy of her transcript in front of her.
But see, the problem is the transcript that you're saying that is her transcript. That's not an official transcript. My understanding, if I am wrong, correct me, my understanding is that is someone that the defense, I guess, hired, or someone that the defense had to take her video statement that she gave to, you know, authorities and have them watch that and do a transcript of it. Am I correct?
Well, yes, but the problem is, Judge, we're talking about two separate rules of evidence and application. Right now, at this moment in time, all we're dealing with is past recollection refreshed. And if I had a cardboard cutout of Mickey Mouse that would refresh her memory, then I could show her that. That's all I'm doing, whether it's an official
Well, let me ask
transcript
you
or
this.
not.
So here's my question to you, because that transcript is not an official transcript, so you're trying to refresh her memory. So let's assume it doesn't refresh her memory, then what's gonna be the next step?
I'm gonna ask her if she said on a prior occasion, and I'm going to recite what I believe she said. And if she says yes, then that ends the
But
discussion.
what if she says no?
Then we have the video clipped to the
So
exact.
why don't we
timestamp.
just show her the video so we don't have to take the jury back and forth outside? So just show her the video.
May we confirm for a
Yes.
moment, Dan?
She's up for overseas.
With us.
Oh. All right, so the jurors have went home. We are going to start tomorrow at 1:30. On Wednesday, we're gonna start at, yes, on Wednesday, we're gonna start at 9 AM. Thursday, we're gonna start at 9 AM. Friday, we're gonna start at 9 AM. All right, and I've had my docket for Thursday, that's gonna be moved, so. All right, so, you're welcome. So, I want her to, continue to watch her video. We want that done, so when we come back tomorrow, there's no, we need to watch a video or something. And if you all have any stipulations, I overheard you all saying you may have stipulations. If you all could get that done as well for the court. Okay.
Say, I like this on the record.
Yeah, we're on the record. If it's
That's all right.
counsel, then oh, your client is here.
Yes. If we could have the court instruct.
Oh, she was
If we
ready.
could have, we were like, the court to instruct the state, which I think they know otherwise anyway. Not to discuss her testimony, the other to show her the video. with
Yes.
her During the break, since she still wants.
Oh, no.
And
That's why, and I know they're not gonna do it, but that's why I wanted a defense counsel in the back with her while she was watching the video.
Tomasi.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I did that. But so she's still under oath, you all know that. And so she's still considered to be in the middle of her testimony. So no one is allowed to discuss with her testimony. So please, no one call her and say, let's discuss this, because she's still
And the
under
same-
oath.
You know that issue earlier this morning or yesterday was granted cert in the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
And with Ed Shaughnessy's.
Yeah.
And he's got a,
Access to the defendant
yes,
in Jefferson Morse.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw him one night.
By the way, I got him.
Oh, just one second. We're off the record. We're now just, they're just now just
City's just copied out.
chatting about other things.
Here, here.
Good old Ed Shaughnessy.
By the way, I love, whenever the prosecutor looked like he was straight, honest, fun to be in court with, fun to be out of the court with. And I actually got him the person who's the Supreme Court bar to
Mhm.
write the brief with him.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to convince Ed, he's a good appellate lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to argue. For sure. He
Mhm.
really ought.
Oh,
to.
oh, yeah.
I think he'll win that.
I think he will.
I mean,
Mhm.
I might be.
All right.
All right, so,
Right now, except for that.
yes,
So. Asking what the prosecutor.
yes. And defense, I know you all were still speaking to your client, so if you all want to finish speaking to him so that the